Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to Day 10, another edition of albums that are 50 years old in 2021. Of course, we're drawing from the magical year that is 1971. Arguably the greatest year ever in the history of rock and roll. Arguably one of my favorites, if it's not my favorite. What we've done here, 28 days for the month of February. 28 picks, our 28 favorites. So myself, each day is going to give you a new pick. I'm asking everybody to do the same in the comments below, as well as give an honorable mention from the greater list. So albums that didn't necessarily make your top 28, but albums that you dig quite a bit, right? So all good stuff. So in total, what do we got? It's 56 albums we're talking about here from 1971. Turning 50, 50th anniversary, 50 years old this year. Let's get to today's pick. So I'm sure most folks knew I was going to be getting to this one eventually. My list would not be complete without this album. Released February 24th, 1971. Released on Columbia Records. Recorded at 30th Street Studios in New York City by none other than Teo Macero. I'm talking about Miles Davis and Company, a tribute to Jack Johnson. You know, this is the period in the history of Miles Davis that I love all of Miles's periods, all of the eras in the history of Miles Davis and his music. But I have a soft spot for, In a Silent Way, Bitches Brew, this album, a couple of the albums that came after, On the Corner, all those like early mid-70s kind of funk and fusion releases. As much as I love the old stuff from the 50s and the 60s, and I do, there's something about the fusion period that really does something for me. I mean, this album, 2 tracks. That's it. 2 lengthy tracks. Right Off and Yesternow. Totaling, what do we got? Right Off is 26 minutes and change. Yesternow is 25 minutes and change. So just over 50 minutes worth of music here. Incredible stuff. And what a lineup. I mean, this is, the fact that Miles was able to put together these fantastic lineups of musicians, many of whom would have gone, went off to do great things on their own or parts of, as part of other bands that they put together. Mike Antonelli and I did a whole show on, kind of that whole topic, those iconic lineups in the history of Miles Davis. But here you got Miles on trumpet, Steve Grossman on soprano saxophone, John McLaughlin on guitar, Herbie Hancock on organ, Michael Henderson on bass, Billy Cobham on drums. I mean, doesn't get much better than that, right? In addition, throughout, the sessions for this album, you had other guys like Bernie Maupin on bass clarinet, Sonny Sharrock on guitar, Chick Corea on electric piano, Dave Holland on bass, Jack DeJohnette on drums. So there were a lot of guys coming in and out of the studios during the making of this album. So if you have had a chance to check out the expanded, complete Jack Johnson sessions, you get all those cats playing on these tracks and others. It's just an amazing group of musicians. And who would have thought, like in 1971, that there would be this amazing ensemble of musicians, most of whom would go off to do arguably even greater things on their own. I mean, John McLaughlin at the time was basically just a studio musician, right? He was a studio for hire guy. And of course, he would then go on to, he worked with Tony Williams in Lifetime, and then, of course, forming the Mahavishnu Orchestra in a long solo career. Herbie Hancock, obviously we know Herbie's career took off after Miles. Billy Cobham joined McLaughlin in the Mahavishnu Orchestra. I mean, these guys went on to do great things. Great things. And this is just, what I love about this album. To some people, the Miles fusion period is kind of noisy and chaotic and not as melodic as the earlier acoustic jazz stuff, the bebop stuff, and I get all that. And to an extent, I kind of agree with it, but there's something about the amount of groove, the menace, these musicians going into uncharted waters and being allowed to jam but not like go berserk. It's like controlled chaos with Miles as the ringleader. Just fantastic stuff. I mean, the bubbling bass, those funky, complex drums, right? The metallic shards of guitar, because, at the time, Miles really wanted to work with Jimi Hendrix, a couple of years before until Hendrix passed away. So, he brought in John McLaughlin and guys later on to kind of recreate that kind of intensity that Jimmy brought to the table, and that he really wanted, to do something with Hendrix. So just some fantastic stuff. Love the electronic keyboards, the electric piano, and later on a little bit of organ. But man, just some daring, intense instrumental music here that, for many, many years, I always said that Bitches Brew was my favorite Miles Davis album. It was eclipsed by this probably about 20, 25 years ago. I just kind of, when I started really getting into this album, I was like, it's like the point of no return. This, for me, is the greatest Miles Davis album ever. So my runner-up, not runner-up, sorry. My honorable mention, I say that every day. My honorable mention, like I said, my pool of honorable mentions was probably, 75 or so. After I picked my top 28, I had all these albums and I had to whittle those down to 28, right? And a lot of really good ones. I couldn't leave this one or this band out because I think I love this period from this particular band. I'm talking about In Search of Space by the mighty Hawkwind, right? Space rock pioneers. Just a great, great UK act. And here we did the Turnabout. So I've been saying the last couple days that a lot of my main picks have been British bands, and my honorables have been American. So today we're turning this around. So today my main band is American, and my honorable is a UK band, British band. So this is just out there music. When I was a kid, I never listened to Hawkwind. They are a band that I started getting into when I really, really got heavy into prog in the early and mid 90s. I started listening to more Hawkwind. And the more you listen to Hawkwind, the more you get kind of, taken in by their weird choices of sonics and song composition. And I don't often like bands that do lots of repetitive rhythms and riffs and things like that. But I love when Hawkwind does that. Big bruising riffs at times, those, wild synthesizers and keyboard effects, right? The early music, you got Lemmy's huge bass, the enchanting, haunting vocals, and these just really weird song structures and arrangements is something really endearing to me about Hawkwind's music, even, all Hawkwind's music throughout their career. So here you got the classic You Shouldn't Do That, You're Only Dreaming, the amazing Master of the Universe. If you've never listened to Hawkwind before, go check out Master of the Universe. Great, great song. We Took the Wrong Step years ago, Adjust Me, Children of the Sun, and then if you get the deluxe, the remaster, you get a bunch of bonus tracks recorded around the same sessions, 7x7, Silver Machine, Born to Go. But really, really cool album. Dave Brock and Nick Turner and Lemmy and company. Just incredible stuff. In fact, actually, this might be before Lemmy joined. Hold on, let me get the complete lineup, because I know Lemmy joined a couple of albums in. Where is the lineup? Okay, Nick Turner on alto sax, flute, audio, generator, vocals. Dave Brock on vocals, electric guitar, acoustic guitar. Dave Anderson on bass. Okay, so this is right before Lemmy joined. You got Del Detmar on synthesizer, Terry Ollis on drums, and Dick Mick on audio generator, with, of course, Stasia as the dancer for the live show. So this is right before Lemmy joined, but Lemmy would join and kind of make a lot of these songs his own, with his obviously very unique bass style. So great album. Hawkwind is my honorable mention, but of course the spotlight today goes to tribute to Jack Johnson from the mighty Miles Davis and Company. Another pick of mine from 1971, turning 50 years old this year. So down in the comments below, please put your pick for today as well as an honorable mention. We'll do this every day for the remainder of this month, 28 days in total. Tomorrow, stay tuned for day number 11 for another pick of mine. And let's see, what do we got coming on the channel? So again, apologies for the no D. Snyder interview yesterday. I've been trying to get, D has been committing to days, and then I know he's really busy putting together his new studio album, but he didn't show up for the interview last night, and I haven't heard from his management about rescheduling, so we'll kind of see what happens with that. At this point, I'm moving on to other things, so it's like, whatever. It would have been nice, but maybe we'll see D on the channel at some point in the future, and we all look forward to his solo album, so that should be pretty cool. Coming up tonight, Butch Jones and I will be getting together and reviewing this bad boy, Strangers in the Night Deluxe set. Tomorrow we've got a live edition of The Monsters Den. Rich Catino, Chris Allo, and I will be live here on YouTube talking about some of our favorite serial killer films, as well as taking some of your questions. So that'll be at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. Tune in. Join the chat room. It'll be a lot of fun. We've also got tomorrow, right before that, Jason Morris is joining Viewer Appreciation Day. He and I will be ranking the studio albums of German power metal veterans Edguy. Friday morning, Martin Popoff and I, part 2 of Perfect Albums. And then this weekend, we've got some fun stuff this weekend. So we've got Sydney Taylor, Rich Catino, and myself will be giving you our top 10 albums each from Yngwie Malmsteen. And then Lynn Versace's back on the show, and we are going to do a fun program about some of our favorite favorite mellow songs from heavy bands. Okay, so that's coming up on Sunday. So stay tuned for all this and more here on the channel. And, of course, Monday night, must-see TV with the Hudson Valley Squares, another live show Monday night. It's all question and answer show. All right, so make sure you come with questions for all the squares. Sydney, Lynn, Nick, Ryan, Chris, Steve, Butch, and myself will all be on hand. It'll be probably 90 minutes of just you guys asking us questions about all sorts of musical stuff. There's no topic at all. So that'll be live, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Monday evening. So stay tuned for that. We'll be posting some things here on the channel in case you missed this announcement or forget. So stay tuned for that. That'll be lots of fun. And we'll see you all later on. See you tonight, right, for some UFO action. Bye-bye.